Hey, y'all, happy Valentine's Day. I just want to say that unconditional love is the goal, self love is the challenge. Up until this point, we really haven't been loving ourselves. We've been guilty of choosing things that are not to our highest good, uh, things that are lower: money, power, sex, pride. Uh, and we prioritize these things over what's needed in order to maintain a self-loving environment. And when I say self-loving environment, I mean the people, the places the people that we hang around, the places that we inhabit, visit, frequent, the conversation, the sounds that go in and out of our ears, the things we read and take in, the food we eat, all inclusive into a self-loving environment. And the reason why we hadn't been doing it is because up until now, popular opinion has prioritized these other things over self-love. It kind of goes into the American dream turning from its original intent of being able to self-actualize our life's highest idea freely and openly and have a community surrounded by it to transform into something that's been really commercialized and really monetized. And as a result, it's led to us chasing after these things that won't fill us up. They only give us temporary highs. They only make it seem as if we're in these beautiful places, but it's really a snapshot of our life. It isn't really it really isn't everything in its totality. And I say self-love is the challenge because of this, we've trashed our environment. Many of us have been raised in homes that weren't conducive to our own self-love. A lot of our parents were raised in those same type of conditions, and so on and so forth. And as a result, we have adopted different habits, different philosophies that aren't really conducive to us loving ourselves, us choosing what's the best option for ourselves consistently. Excuse me. And some of it comes from the trauma of living in our environment. I made a decision to really speak out and just kind of share about an experience of mine being sexually molested at a younger age. And it wasn't until that time that I was able to really speak out and release it that I began to realize certain things about my behavior. One of the things that I realized is something that Joyce Meyers. I was listening to a recording from Joyce Meyers, and if any of y'all know or don't know Joyce Meyers, she's a phenomenal preacher, and she really speaks a lot of truth. And she often speaks out about her being sexually molested. And one of the things that she mentioned about it was the guilt that she carried with it. She always felt guilty about things and would always blame herself for even the smallest thing. She would blame herself. And it wasn't until she got older that she began to have a conversation with God, and God kind of enlightened her that Jesus died on the cross for all of our sins, and she doesn't have to carry the burden that she was carrying of feeling guilty. And it just really touched me because it was something that I really did all my life, and I didn't realize that I did it. I carried this sense of guilt. Even the smallest things, I would just kind of beat myself up over. And because I felt that I accepted a lie in my early age, I accepted a lie as a result of trauma that somehow I wanted it, somehow it was my fault. I began to demonize myself over the years, and I never really addressed it until I got older. And it's a constant process. It's something that I'm hopeful and thankful to be able to deal with on a continual basis. And the challenge in it was to love myself, right? To despite my experience, begin to understand that this happened for a reason. Understand that no, I didn't want it. No, it wasn't something that it was of my choosing. And begin to realize that I was at a young age, I didn't even know what that was. That I was raised in a real church family. So like that wasn't something, you as a kid, I knew about it through kids' lenses, but it wasn't something that I really even paid attention to. It's something I really wasn't interested in. And I got to know it through an experience that wasn't of my choosing. And I beat myself up over it. And I brought it into adulthood. And I really developed a habit of self-sabotaging anything good, because this sense within me that had grown that I was somehow a bad person innately. And that's not true. And so my challenge has been to really look at myself, look past the things that I was able to easily accept because everybody around me accepted, and look to some deeper things that I overlooked in my life, things about my character, things about just my personality. And it allowed me to also begin to see some things, some shady parts of my character that I never really dealt with, some things that were actually true, that were shadow aspects of my personality. We all have light sides and dark sides, and we have to balance. Our job is to balance the two in order to grow a more healthy and wealthy lifestyle. And so it really allowed me to unpack them, but I had to take time to do it. I had to pause. I had to take a step back. I had built an entire life based off being chased by my demons. It wasn't from a place of self-love that I had arrived in the position that I was in the comfortable place that I lived in. It was because I was running from this demon that said, "Oh, you weren't good enough. Oh, you gonna fail." And it was consistent, always in my ear. And I had to really battle this every single day, all the time. And it really wore me down. It really wore me down. And it really forced me to face my demons and to exercise them out of my life. And so I really want to say this is a very untraditional, unorthodox Happy Valentine's Day message, but it's one that's really needed. One that's not talked about enough. And that's unconditional love is the goal, and self-love is the challenge. And how I define self-love is, again, understanding what it is to make us feel fulfilled, happy in life, and living out those things, being one with those things. Unconditional love is recognizing and honoring that journey and experience in other people, that they're on a journey towards unconditional love, and their challenge is self-love. Understand that when people offend you, or when you make a mistake, or when they make a mistake, understand that somewhere in their life they experienced a set of experience that impacted their life and caused trauma, and that they may be very well battling their own trauma in their life. So forgive them. Find the message. Understand why is this happening in your life? Is this coming up so it can reach down to a deep part within your own soul and in your own life, and allow you to bring that bitter root up to the light, so it can be exposed, healed, and transformed. Is this coming to you because you've gone through the same experience and a person may need your advice, your help? Begin to really question these things in life. There's this book that I heard about the 4 agreements, and one of them is don't take things personally. And full disclosure, I hadn't read the book, to be honest with you. But in order to not take things personally, you have to understand why these things are happening in your life. And a lot of times, the field being life, the world, is in direct response to what's needed in your life. The universe, and I mention the universe as a system created by God, a perfect ordered system created by God, is responding to your highest need and your greatest good. And so if something detrimental is occurring in your life, if something bad, if you've experienced trauma, or if you are experiencing hardships at work, question the reason why. Ask God to really enlighten you as to why this has occurred or is occurring to you. A lot of times our trauma is connected to our mission. A lot of times the bad experiences that we experience on a day-to-day basis is really telling us something about what we are doing to somebody else. And so I'm not saying this to pass critical judgment, because I believe when we pass critical judgment, we aren't being truthful, and we aren't honoring our own journey towards this our highest selves. We are missing the lesson that the universe is trying to send us through somebody else or through a set of experience. Discernment is when we gaze at what's happening to us and around us, and pull out the gifts. Pull out what's the lesson? Why is this happening to me? Oh, because I have this bitter root that I have never dealt with, that I need to be pulled up and cleansed, so I can live fully, happily, and successfully in life. I can live the life that God intended me to live. And so on this Valentine's Day, I want to challenge everybody to accept the challenge of loving yourself. And I also want to encourage everybody on their journey towards universal love, honoring that journey, honoring everybody's individual journey toward that same place. And it wouldn't be helpful if I just said that without giving you further direction. So one of the things that has been helpful for me in learning about what my needs are is doing a natal chart. So we live in a perfectly ordered system that we call the universe. A big part of the way that God works is perfect order. And that includes us. He's ordered each and every one of us with a purpose, a plan, and we all have our own ingredients to our personality and our person and our characteristics. And a natal chart helps us understand how the universe was aligned when God decided to make us, and what was at play in the heavens in order to create us. And so it allows us to extract those ingredients and understand what's our general makeup, what makes us us, what are our positive traits, what are our shadow sides. And being aware of those has really helped me really hone in and focus on the areas that I really need to focus on. And so, for example, I'm an Aries. And so one of the things that I need to focus on, or part of my personality, could be fickle, not really seeing things all the way to its end. And so one of the reasons that I realize is that I get distracted real easily. And so I've had to do things that allow me to remain focused. And sometimes I have to overdo them because I'm in training, right? I'm learning to balance. And so I want to encourage everybody to do a natal chart. On this Valentine's Day, please do a natal chart. If you are with your significant other, if you are celebrating this Valentine's Day by yourself, it will help you learn more about yourself. And if you want to share with your significant other, it would allow you to help you learn more about each other and allow you all to understand one another and grow. And that's all I have. And it's not just horoscopy. All the stuff that you may have heard about is a natal chart. You can find many links to them. I may include some links on this post. But man, accept the challenge to love yourself, but understand everybody is also accepting that same challenge, and give them space to grow. Give them space to make mistakes. And if something bothers you about what someone has said or did, take it as a message. Take it as a message from the universe. Take it as a message from God, and realize, and to look back in your own life to understand the triggers that are in your life. I love y'all. And I'm learning to love myself. Y'all be blessed.